A billionaire and a president with something in common which some say could get our country out of trouble.
Responding up here, we're going to have many casualties.
Shock, disbelief, and chaos after a stunt plane crashes into a crowd. The latest clues leading to the cause of this deadly crash. A satellite ready to make a crash landing on Earth. The latest on when it could hit and whether we should worry.
I never said any of those words.
You never said robbery. You never said gun.
What the accused Gumby robber says really happened. Your independent news network starts right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Mickle. Taxing the wealthy to get our country back on track. It's the president's plan to ease the deficit. He unveiled what's being called the Buffett rule today. That's after billionaire investor Warren Buffett recently said that wealthy Americans should pay more in taxes. The president wants a minimum tax rate for millionaires at least as high as middle-class rates.
Middle-class families shouldn't pay higher taxes than millionaires and billionaires. That's pretty straightforward. It's hard to argue against that. Warren Buffett's secretary shouldn't pay a higher tax rate than Warren Buffett. There's no justification for it. It is wrong that in the United States of America, a teacher or a nurse or a construction worker who earns $50,000 should pay higher tax rates than somebody pulling in $50 million.
GOP leaders oppose any tax increases, saying they would undermine the already shaky economy. The president's plan also includes billions of dollars in spending cuts, including to Medicare and Medicaid. Thousands across the country rely on food pantries and other organizations to help them eat. Now, a national service says it can no longer afford to assist those who need it. As Carla Wade reports, that means some of those people are going to bed hungry tonight.
We don't have no food. We have no food.
You might think Wanda Hendricks is exaggerating, but she's not. Her shelves are nearly bare. She lives on government assistance and can barely afford to pay her rent and for the numerous medications she must take every single day.
I'm a type 2 diabetic. I have COPD. I'm on oxygen. I have sleep apnea.
She had depended on Angel Food Ministries to buy groceries at reduced price. But now that ministry has fallen on hard times, just like so many of the people it helps. And it canceled food distribution for the month of September.
What is it for me to do? Who am I supposed to call on?
Angel Food Ministries is based in Georgia, but they have host sites throughout the United States, many of them at churches like this one here in Oklahoma City.
If the Angel Tree and Jesus House and all these other people don't help, who's supposed to help us?
Angel Food Ministries was established in 1994. At its peak, it had about 4,200 distribution sites in dozens of states. Well, the death toll has climbed in that terrible, deadly air race in Reno, Nevada. 10 are now dead. The latest victim died just today. Meanwhile, investigators say they may have new clues that could lead them to the answer of what caused that crash on Friday.
Responding up here, we're going to have many casualties.
Yeah, I got about 10 doctors, 20 nurses, and about 15 EMTs standing by.
Audio recordings from first responders reveal the chaos after that crash. Now, federal investigators say they've uncovered items that may help piece together what led up to it. Memory cards that could belong to a camera attached to the plane or to a data recorder. Survivors of the crash are now starting to come forward. They say they're just as puzzled as investigators about what happened in the sky on Friday.
It just looked like there was lack of control or something was wrong. And then I don't know how long it took, but from that point to where the thing hit was a very short, compressed time.
Investigators are also focusing on the plane's tail. Several pieces of it have been recovered. The death toll from a magnitude 6.9 earthquake and 2 powerful aftershocks along the border of India and Nepal has climbed to more than 20. The quake set off landslides, which, along with heavy rains, are blocking roads and hampering rescue efforts. Phone lines are also down, making communication difficult. Tens of thousands of anti-nuclear protesters gathered in Tokyo today. Organizers say an estimated 50,000 demonstrators met in the city center to demand the closure of all nuclear power plants in Japan. More than 85,000 people are still unable to return to their homes because of unsafe radiation levels around the Fukushima Daiichi power plant. The plant's operator, TEPCO, is still struggling to stabilize the facility. That's using your head. This was the scene in South China, where a 5-year-old boy was dangling outside a window with his head stuck between the anti-theft bars. Firefighters responded to the child's home on the 4th floor of the building, where they tied a rope around the boy's body and used a steel cutter to slice through the bars to pull him up safely. Emergency officials say the boy was not badly hurt. Filipinos kicked off Oktoberfest in grand style. A 30-foot pyramid made of more than 1,000 beer mugs was unveiled in Manila to kick off the celebrations. About 5,000 people were at that unveiling. And that's your Global News Now. A giant satellite will plunge back to Earth this week. NASA says it will happen Friday, give or take a day. The space agency expects more than 24 pieces to survive re-entry and hit the Earth's surface. But just where they will land is still anybody's guess. NASA says the chances of a piece hitting a person is 1 in 3,200. The 6-ton satellite is NASA's upper atmosphere research satellite. It was launched in 1991 and decommissioned in 2005 when it ran out of fuel and its batteries died. Friday night football took an ugly turn when high school players started throwing punches. This was the scene in Sharon, Pennsylvania. The fight broke out with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Mixed in the brawl are people trying to break things up, and even referees got knocked to the ground. There was a flag on the play, but it's unclear exactly how the fight started. That game was called to an end after the fight. The schools are reviewing the video and deciding what to do. Former Vice President Walter Mondale's daughter, Eleanor Mondale, has died. That's following a long battle with brain cancer. She died at her home in Minnesota early Saturday. Her father was vice president under Jimmy Carter. He also ran for president against President Ronald Reagan in 1984. Eleanor Mondale was 51 years old. Kara Kennedy, daughter of the late Senator Ted Kennedy, died of a heart attack on Friday. She was 51 years old as well. Kara was the senator's only daughter. She accepted the Presidential Medal of Freedom on behalf of her father in a White House ceremony in 2009. She was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2003, but overcame the disease. Well, the fallout from a rogue trader is worse than originally thought for one major bank, and GM is closer to a 4-year contract with thousands of union workers. Let's get back to business. Swiss bank UBS says a rogue trader costed even more than previously announced, now more than $2.3 billion. It first said about $2 billion Thursday. The bank says a trader in its London office may be to blame. He's in police custody, charged with several counts of fraud. Right now, it's unclear exactly what happened to the money. No major disruptions during the so-called occupation of Wall Street over the weekend. Several hundred protesters took to the streets. They say corporate greed is hurting average Americans. Organizers say they tried to model the protests in the Egyptian uprising in Tahrir Square earlier this year. GM is closer to a 4-year contract with the UAW. It's agreed to a $5,000 signing bonus for hourly workers. That's if the union agrees to approve a tentative contract agreement. That includes a $2 to $3 per hour raise for incoming line workers and profit sharing for union members. The deal would affect more than 48,000 GM plant workers. And that's your Back to Business. Well, the stars were out for TV's biggest night last night for the 63rd Primetime Emmy Awards. It was an evening of drama, comedy, and an unexpected appearance from Charlie Sheen as a presenter with this message for his former co-workers on 2.5 Men.
From the bottom of my heart, I wish you nothing but the best for this upcoming season.
Glee's Jane Lynch was only the 3rd woman to ever host the Emmys. She was also nominated for Supporting Actress in a Comedy, but lost out to Modern Family's Julie Bowen. The ABC sitcom dominated the night, taking home 5 awards, including Outstanding Comedy Series. Mike and Molly's Melissa McCarthy was crowned Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy. And The Big Bang Theory's Jim Parsons took home his second Emmy for a lead actor. On the drama side, Mad Men won Outstanding Series for fourth year in a row. Next, flooded out farmers are looking ahead after their worst season ever.
So I'm most concerned it will probably happen again next year.
What help is available to get these farmers growing again? And this robbery made news across the country. Coming up, we hear from the man inside the Gumby suit about what he says really happened.